1, 2, 3. I think we should be live right now. Hello, everybody. It's your old pal, Rob. None other than myself, the silence behind the violence. And today, we don't just have a legend. When you say the word board game, this name has to be attached to it. It's Richard Launius, probably one of the best designers in the world. Why? Because he's my friend. Number two, he makes great games. All right. And we've been having a discussion on the channel, as a matter of fact, Richard, about Arkham Horror. Okay.
And by the way, first of all, you are too kind. So I appreciate that introduction, though. So
listen, I go longer, but we don't have a lot of time. Don't you have to go to the airport or something?
Yeah, I tell you what, I think Chris Kirkman's going to handle that for me, so we can go however long we need to now.
Okay, all right then, or else let me keep on going. This guy's made everything. I mean, you look at the list of games that you've done. Defenders of the Crown, tremendous game. Elder Signs, I love. Matter of fact, you don't remember this, but I do. I'd never gone to a board game convention. I mean, I went to war game conventions and stuff like that. But I went to the Dice Tower. I don't know if it was Dice Tower 2 or 3. I forget which one it was. And I decided to sit down with a bunch of people that I didn't know, and they wanted to play Elder Signs. So nobody knew how to play the game. So we're sitting there, we're trying to figure it out. And then all of a sudden you walk up and you go, "You guys having problems with that game?" One guy picks up his head. He goes, "Yeah, this is a little tough." He goes, "Don't worry, I got it. I designed the game." He ended up teaching us the game and staying for a good while until we got going and made sure we had it. I have to take a drink every once in a while. I get dehydrated like crazy since I've been sick. But that was the first time we ever got a chance to meet each other. And then through Pete and other times through Dice Tower, we've talked over the years and been to many dinners and stuff, which I still owe you dinner if we ever get to go to another convention.
One of these days, I'm going to collect that.
I know. Oh, I know you will. I know you will. And you know, we won't go to the Shake Shack like when you went.
That was good.
That was good though. That was good. Kaboke, how you doing? We got VTP here, Bill Olam, Trevor. How are you? Trevor's supposed. Look at this. I'm supposed to mow the lawn right now. He's supposed to. He's slacking off. Listen, Get out there and go take care of this lawn. You can watch this later. We don't want to get him in any trouble with the missus. And Miss Kabuki, of course, saying hi to you as always. But
hello.
You know, one of the things that I had a discussion on the channel a bit about was Arkham Horror, and of course, you know, my favorite is the second edition. Okay, no doubt about it.
Sure.
And then they came out with this third edition, and where a lot of people like it and everything like that, you know, it has this love-hate thing, you know, because the second edition is such a classic.
Right.
Now, you also did the first edition, of course.
I did the first edition, the second edition, Eldritch Horror. Of course, in my mind, Eldritch Horror is really the third edition of that whole line. It just expands it out to the world. And then the third edition, the official third edition, takes a much more linear approach to storytelling, which, by the way, I think struggled a little bit in the beginning. But I will say now that they've added a couple expansions, they've gotten that one to where that one's pretty solid now. Players who haven't played that one since it first came out probably should go and give that a go now.
Well, it was such a talk. It was such a talk here that I actually went out. And I ended up buying like all of it just to try it myself. And I'm going to get to it because a lot of people say that it's gotten better as the expansions got going.
Sure.
But being a purist, okay, and your edition, of course, when you do it at the convention, okay, I mean, it is pimped out to the max. I mean, all the minis, everything there. And you sit down, that is one of those, when you run games at conventions, it's like the time, you don't even know where the time goes.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you have a knack for that.
I tell you, I almost always get a solid 8 for Arkham when I'm there, or Eldritch also. and most of our games run about 2.5, 3.5 hours on the average, because I run the game and keep it flowing. But I don't think anybody really realizes how much time goes by because everybody's having so much fun. And there's always somebody who all the bad things happen to, and somebody who can't miss no matter what. And that just becomes kind of a running storyline. So it's a lot of fun.
Let me get this thing here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, and the last Dice Tower, I think that was the last time I seen you, was at the last Dice Tower.
Yeah, it's over 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it's amazing with everything that went on.
Yeah,
everything went on, and I was supposed to come up to go spend some time at Pete's house, but my job. You're one of the few people that kind of know what I do.
I do.
That the world has not been a good place.
No, but I'll tell you what, you have an open invitation. And by the way, when Pete said you're coming up to his house, you were going to stay at my house.
That's the way he's,
Yeah.
Oh, come on, come up. I'm going to put you at Richard's. You're not staying with me.
Which would be great. And then
which is fine. I would throw him out. We'll throw him out.
Oh, he has to go back home. His wife has chores for him. Gaming.
Oh, I know that. But no, definitely at some point when things get a little bit better and slow down a bit, I definitely plan on coming up. But, it's kind of funny because I kind of want to segue a little bit in before we really get into the Thunder rolls. You must be a huge NASCAR fan.
I am a huge NASCAR fan. I mean, huge NASCAR fan. I used to go to about 8 to 9 races a year when I was with Bell South. In AT&T, because we had a car and I could get tickets really anytime I wanted to. So it's just a matter of getting the tickets and going. And I used to just love to go to them. And after I retired, I think I've only been to like 1 or 2 races since I retired. Just because I've gotten to where I don't like wrestling with the parking. Dealing with the parking at a NASCAR race, that is the absolute worst thing.
Now you've been to Daytona, correct?
That's actually the one of the big tracks I want to go to. I haven't. Talladega is my 2 favorite tracks are Bristol. I've gone to the Bristol night race 2 or 3 times, and the Bristol night race is incredible for anybody.
Well, that one's like sold out like 5-6 years.
Yeah, you got to buy your tickets in advance to get to the nice race. Gone to the day race, which is nice, but I don't know. There's something about turning those lights on that just makes that place come to life. It becomes like a football stadium at that point.
And it's a half mile.
What's that?
It's a half mile track.
That is a half-mile track, high bank. So they're running big speeds on that track. You are guaranteed to see some hot tempers before that race is over. Absolutely guaranteed to see some hot. In fact, I remember I had my headphones on the last time Dale Earnhardt won that race. That's how old I am.
Oh,
and he spun Terry Labonte on the last lap, and he spun him coming out of turn 2 on the backstretch, and I was listening to Terry Labonte, and he was just silenced. And man, his crew chief was, just going to town. He was so upset and so mad. And finally, Terry Labonte just said to him, he said, "Well, he learned a lot. Last time he spun me on this track, it was on the front stretch, and I won the race anyway. So he knows now to spin me on the back."
and it's a funny thing because I've actually been to the Daytona track and a couple other tracks. My wife. My wife's father was a huge mechanic, and people would come to him. They actually went to him. He went to General Motors to have a special truck design so he can. I forgot what it was, but he's like a genius, and he would race a lot, and that's where she got it from, because the Mad Woman has to have a sports car all the time. I mean, she has right now. She's driving her Camaro, and she goes, "Oh, well, maybe I'll go down to a lower car or something like or a sedan or something because I'm getting too old." I go, "Listen, as long as you're still walking and you drive the way you do, you might as well just keep in the sports cars."
Oh, and I'll tell you, there are so many women NASCAR fans. I had offices in Birmingham, which isn't far from Talladega. I had an office in Bristol, of course, the big track there. And I would tell anybody, the women that work for me in those offices, they could out-talk most people on NASCAR. They know everything about the car. I mean, not just the drivers or the standings. They know about the cars. They know about the engines and the power and what's taking place. So it was always interesting talking to them.
Oh, that's the queen. I was never a big car guy, but she got me into the NASCAR thing. And people don't realize how big these tracks are. That's the thing. Like when we go to Daytona, it takes you a while to get from one end to the other end.
It's 2.5 mile track.
It's 2.5 mile truck. Yeah. So you don't realize, and then you look at it and you go, okay, where are we going to sit? You think you want to sit closer. No, you want to sit back so you can see as far as you can do.
If anybody ever tries to sell you tickets to the front row, the answer is absolutely not. You can see them when they go by, and you will get hit by tires. So I remember I ended up with 4 tickets to the Bristol night race one time, and my son was 16 and one of his friends, and 2 of the tickets were on the front row. Okay, down in the backstretch, and he's like, "We want to sit down there." I'm like, "Great." So they're down there. I see them. There's a caution with about 100 laps to go, and I go down to just check on them. And their whole side, the whole left side of their face is just black from tires. Okay, they've got sunglasses on, so they just, and they're like, "Hey, it's great when you sit here. Every time they go around, you get hit with tire." I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I'm sitting way."
Yeah.
They thought it was great though.
We went down near the the fencing and everything like that just to see them come by, and I think it was oh God, it wasn't the championship series. It was the next lower one, the AAA.
It used to be the Busch series. Now I forget what they call it, but it's the one down, right? So
and
Sprint series now.
And when they would come by, I mean, you felt it holding onto that fence. I mean, they are going you just don't realize what speed is until it comes by you.
There's 2 things I like to do. I picked this up, I played some hockey in college, and I used to love to go to the NHL games. And I would always tell people, till you've actually been down on the glass and seen the speed of those NHL players, you have no idea how fast they actually are skating out there. And I mean, it just doesn't come across. And the same is true with a NASCAR race, or really any race. Till you see them go by in front of you, okay, the camera's not moving with them. You have no idea how fast those guys were moving. And it's just an amazing thing. I was going to tell you, one of my best NASCAR stories is I'm old enough, which is where the word legend comes from, that I went to a Bristol race when I lived in Bristol, and they didn't even have the grandstands yet. It was just two bleachers on each side and open on the outside, parking lot on one side and a pasture with cows on the other side. Okay. And the first time I went, I didn't know what to expect. I was pretty excited. I was already a Richard Petty fan, and I was, Petty was still racing. And Darrell Waltrip was the big winner there. But the thing that was amazing was I started noticing that everybody had earplugs on. And I was like, well, you don't need earplugs, I don't think, because I hadn't been to a race before, and not to Bristol. And so then they started the cars, and I thought, oh, that's loud. That's really loud, but not too bad. And then they got the green flag. That's the last thing I heard for about 500 laps. Okay.
Now here in Florida, I mean, there's racing. You got dirt tracks and all this stuff, and we've gone to a couple of dirt tracks, and oh boy, you want to talk about some fun? Just people just having a lot of fun. But boy, it's loud.
It is loud.
It is loud.
Smaller tracks, it is so loud. So I learned my lesson. I tell you what, my ears rang for 3 days. For 3 days, it was like I could still hear those cars.
Now, you're saying how old you are. You've retired from Bell South, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
14 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. When are you going to actually retire? Because you seem to be working harder now than you were when you were at Bell South.
I keep talking about it. To some extent, I am retired. I mean, I'm to the point. This is a game that I love. That's why I'm and I keep designing some games. But the truth of the matter is, I'm at a point where I don't really care for the most part if games get published. I want this one to get published because I just think there's too many people that'll love this game. I don't care if you're a race car fan or not. There's so much of this game, so much player interaction. I just got to believe there's a lot of people out there that will love this game. So unfortunately, nobody gets to see it at conventions. If this game was if I could have taken this to 3 or 4 conventions before the Kickstarter, and people could sit down, I guarantee you roll the dice one time and you take your first action, and you enter, somebody else drafts with you, or somebody else crosses over you, and you're just into the game. That you learn the rules in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm gonna head over to the Kickstarter page right now, matter of fact, and let me just get this up there. Boom, there we go. Share, boom, there we go. All right, Robert, how are you, my brother? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't talked to you.
It's good to see you, Robert.
I really do recommend everyone check out this game. And hi, Rob and King Richard, not Legend, King Richard.
That's the name of my racing.
That's the name
team,
you're
by the way, King Richard Racing. So
now tonight, a matter of fact, folks, on the Tantrum House, you're going to be doing a live playthrough with the guys.
We are. We're going to put Chris Kirkman in his Dice Hate Me car. We're gonna have Melissa driving the number 11 Tantrum House car. And let me just tell you, I've raced Melissa probably 10 times so far now. Melissa probably wins 5 or 6 of those races, because I don't know what she does. You talk about a big NASCAR fan. She's a big NASCAR fan.
Oh, really?
She is very strategic. Okay, most people know she's more of a competitive Euro player, and she's very competitive. But every time, I tell you what, she got people crossing her over, had a big hazard, set her back a couple of races ago. I turned around and she's like one space behind me when we get to the end of the first stage. I'm like, how can that happen? So yeah, she'll be there. She's always a good racer. Kevin will probably race with us, or her husband. I'm actually probably going to call the race as an announcer, because I can really tell people more about what's going on in the race if I'm talking about what everybody's doing, as opposed to focus on my own car. Probably have Daryl Lauder drive my car, so we're looking forward to that.
What's that? Richard Petty's car?
Actually, my car is the King Richard number 9 car here. So when we want to talk painting, we'll talk painting, because you can paint these, and these cars are huge. I mean, I don't know if you can tell.
Hold on, let me just go
in there. They are huge, though.
Let me go back to you real quick. There we go. Go ahead. Show the car again.
Okay, they're huge. So I mean, they are 2.5 inches long by 1.5 inches wide. Made them extra wide so that anybody who buys the sponsorship, we're going to have people sponsored cars. They're going to have stickers. Now these were just cut out of paper, so they stand out a little bit more. But we're going to have a sticker sheet where you can put your sticker on the car. A couple of the cars here. There's the Mr. B, number 16. Berkey, he let me do his, so he's got the number 3 there, and the Tantrum House. You never go wrong with the Tantrum House number 11, because she's a big Hamlin.
She knows how to drive that, huh? She knows how to drive that car.
Knows how to drive that, and of course, what would it be without Pete having a shark car? So and I noticed he's a sponsor also. So not only is he in the prototype, he's going to be in the his car is going to be in the game. So basically, there'll be a lot of stickers players can choose from. You can paint your cars or not paint your cars. We've got colored stickers that you put on the hood, the roof, the tail, if you don't want to paint your car, so you can basically put the colors on it. And if you go down the page there, you'd see that. But
yep.
And then you could drop in.
Now this is the track. I mean, this.
Oh, and it's big. It's a huge track. Okay.
Well, how big is the track? How big is it?
Let's see here. Actually, I think it shows you.
Did it block out the sun?
But it's it's the Arkham Horror 3-fold size board.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a big track.
It's a big track. It's got the actions down at the bottom, if you can see it there. So there's 6 actions across it. So as you roll your dice, there's 2 phases to the game. There's the phase where you're rolling your dice and you're placing them on the actions, and you carry out the actions. So you're racing and fighting for position, and kind of bidding. Whoever has the most numbered dice has the top bidding. And then once everybody's dice are all on the board, you gain Thunder cards, which give you racing maneuvers and speed, and you want to get the best cards. And then you go to where you program 4 of your cards onto your team card, and you perform the actions going around the board. So it's really interesting, and there's a lot of strategy to it. And last thing, but certainly not least, is there are non-player drivers in the game, so you always use all 8 cars. And the non-player drivers,
wow,
they can be very competitive.
So, and you can play this solo as well.
Absolutely, there's solo rules for it. You have to block off some things on the when you're doing the dice part on the what we call the rolling phase. The Thunder phase really doesn't change at all because the non-player drivers they perform they perform no matter how many players are playing. So you can play with 1 player using 7 non-player drivers. You can play with 5 players using 3 non-player drivers. It always works.
Now, is it hard to to manage if you're playing as 1 player?
It's actually not, because what you do if you're playing 1 player is you will simply line up the non-players to your right. Will take your action. So if we're playing solo, you're going to draw 2 tiles, which are going to block off different actions on the board. And then you're going to roll your dice and take your action. And essentially then you're simply going to flip over action cards for each of the non-player drivers, and they're going to do a board action. In other words, they're going to move or do something on the track, because your action is going to move you on the track also. So there's the tracks, and it shows you the size if you get close. But those are huge. It's a double-side board. On one side, we've got essentially a mile oval that we can turn into. With race cards, we turn them into super speedways or short tracks. I've even now done because somebody requested it, I've done a dirt track that will come with the game. So you can have a dirt track. I mean, you'll use this same board, but the rules will be, you'll have drifting rules just like if you were on dirt. So you just put the card in play. Each race card has a couple of different rules on it, so they're easy to implement. You just add the race card to the board there. And of course, then you've got the road course over there. So,
okay,
it is in English right now. It's in English only. I see somebody's asking the question, and we've not looked at doing anything in other languages at this point.
All right, let's scroll down here a little bit more. Oh, wow, look at all this. You got speed cards, thunder cards, hazard cards. You got
right. You don't want to get any hazard cards. So basically, so if you're looking at all the different cards that come with it, I'll just talk about each one. First of all, I'm going to talk about the qualifying cards. The way you qualify in this game is you're dealt 2 cards at the beginning of the game. Those cards are going to have numbers between 1 and 16 on them. 16 being the best start. Okay, so you get 16, you're going to get the pole. If you you can choose, and you can choose a lower number, because the lower numbers give you a bonus during the game. So let's say I'm starting at the back, but at one point I can spin my special power to roll a die and move that many spaces. So they have different abilities if you don't have if you don't start up front. So strategically, some races it makes sense to start at the back. The speed cards are really just slower cards that you get if you don't get 4 Thunder cards. The Thunder cards are what you're competing to get under each action. So those are the cards that are going to have the best maneuvers and the fastest speeds. If you don't have 4 to program, you're going to get dealt speed cards to make up the difference, which is speed cards in my mind are, I'm just making laps. You've gone to races, you've seen them. Sometimes they're just making laps out there.
Sunday drive.
I'm just driving. I'm trying to hold my position, but I'm not passing anybody. Hazard cards you get some speed cards are so fast or have certain bonuses on them that are dangerous moves by the drivers. And when you program one of those cards, you roll a die. If you roll a 1, you're going to end up with a hazard card. Additionally, if you choose to not pit during the rolling phase, you're going to get a hazard card. So that's how hazard cards come out. Hazard cards they're penalties, but in this game, I wanted the game to be totally fluent. Nobody gets off the track to go to the pits. Nobody's car is ever out of the race. You might move backward spaces or have some penalties that affect some of your speed Thunder cards, but you are never removed from the race. And then NPD action cards those are the cards that activate the non-player drivers. There are 8 unique ones. They all have their own special abilities. But the action cards then will
Ah,
tell you what you do with them and whether or not their special ability triggers on that turn.
gotcha. Let's just go down here a little bit more. Of course, you could paint your own cars, which is just awesome. You could do anything you want.
Right. And painting the cards is very easy. I thought back. I printed up once we got the sculpt. I printed 8. I printed 8 cards for 3 prototypes.
Mm-hmm.
And as I painted them, each set, it took me probably about 45 minutes to an hour on each car, if you break it down. But it is not hard to paint these cars. You paint them in a solid color. You pick the trim for them. And then, of course, the people who buy this game will simply be able to go to a sticker sheet and get stickers. I had to actually make up logos and numbers, on a printer, print them out and cut them out of paper. But they'll have it made. They'll just be able to go to the stickers. But there are a wide variety because we've had a lot of backers. There's going to be a lot of different race cards, and each race card will identify whatever special go with that. And you're looking at the very front of some of these here. Now, these are just prototype cards, but at the bottom, you're going to see 4 boxes. And I love this because I love thematic things. If you win a race on that track, you get to write your number.
Here's
in that
all the
box.
cards. Okay, let's go down here. Geez, we could play this little video here too. Why not? Let me just go down here. Down a little more.
Yep.
Okay, let me go down.
It keeps going.
Oh,
that
geez.
explains all the actions. You're looking
clean
at a
air
piece right now that explains maneuvers. So, if you've got clean air, when you activate that car, if there's no car and there's 2 spaces in front of you, you get to increase your speed by 2. Crossover is the ever popular move from Bristol. They use it a lot of tracks, but that's where I take the air off of your back fender and just change places with you. So you lose speed, I pick up speed. Side draft is I end up backing you up. And then there's draft where me and you and sometimes the whole line moves forward.
So how much inspiration did you take from the game that you would run at the conventions from this?
What I tried to do was boil down into very simplistic terms some of the more complex racing actions. And that's primarily how I did it. But I tell you, and I actually put an article out on BGG. When we were kind of locked down during the pandemic, I decided, you know what, I'm going to design myself the quintessential NASCAR game because I love NASCAR. So I started designing. I actually designed 4 games over the period. This is the very last one. And the first one was a fairly simple card game. And
you're never going to retire, are you?
Probably. No, I tell you what, I'm going to retire, but I'm never going to stop making games. I just like making games.
Right.
And then I made one, actually made one called Green White Checkered that I quite liked, but I felt it was a little too complex to sell to people unless they were serious NASCAR people. Then I made one called NASCAR Champions, which was a solitaire game with 24 cars that you ran on a track, and that's just for me. Okay, no, there's nobody else in the world other than a couple of diehard NASCAR fans that would want to fool with that one. But it does look great on a table. And then I came up with this idea, which, Las Vegas has a dice mechanic where you roll dice and put them on casinos. Here, I thought you roll dice, but instead of just putting them on a casino or something like that, the action and actually have the action be a bidding process. If I've got 2 dice there, you've got to put 3 down. There it is up there. Yep. Yeah, you got to put 3 down to knock me down. So what happens is if I've got the top slot on that action, I get the first choice of the 3 Thunder cards that are down at the bottom. And that could be a huge difference. I might end up picking a 6 with clean air up where you get a 3 with a side draft. That's a big difference. So it makes the entire game work. You not only get to carry out the action when you put your dice down, but later in the phase, you're going to get to collect cards and program those cards. So you get to do both aspects of the game.
Unbelievable. And the other thing that I caught down, first of all, is this the art that's actually going to be on there?
That is the actual art, yes.
Wow, that's really, really, really nice. This is really nice. And then down here, which I want to get to, First of all, we see that Melissa, threw in a little blurb here. Each decision where you place your dice, who you draft with, who you send backwards is important. See, this is coming from the person that wins the most races from you, right?
Absolutely.
And she's just talking garbage. She's basically who I send backwards.
She says
she's talking garbage.
Okay, listen. There's no two ways about it. She's sending me backwards.
She's talking garbage right here on your site, right? And she's just setting it up for tonight. Now, somebody's got to put this girl into a wall.
Well, I'm telling you what. I raced with her last weekend. She brought. They brought their sister-in-law. I don't know if sister-in-law or sister. I'm not sure which. And she raced. By the way, she races just like Melissa. She ran with me for a while. We were drafting together on the high line, and then she found somebody better to go with and left me back in the dust. I'm like, okay, I see how it goes.
Oh, look at it. Not to mention that the great Pete Shire is here, but he also had a little comment here. The great thing about Thunder Rolls is that it's so easy to teach. I have run many playtest sessions for the game, and by the end of the first race, everyone just gets it and is ready to go again and is working on strategy. Now, with that said, okay, how many races has Pete won?
Okay, well, I got to tell you, Pete's won quite a few. Pete, let me tell you the story of Pete. We actually had a league that play tested this game, okay?
Right.
And
because you can run leagues with this.
Oh, yeah. We ran. It was a 12-race league. It boiled down to one big championship race that basically you started out with points in the championship race based on your wins, where you finished in the season, that type of thing. Pete led the season right up until the very end. And so he had an excellent start. He ended up, he's not liking it now. He ended up losing the championship race to a guy who ended up getting more stage points than him. So he lost by 1 point. So he's ready for a revenge. However, he did win last week. We started our second season. Mm-hmm. We're 4 races in, and Pete finally got his first win in the 4th race last week. I am lingering in 5th place. So thank goodness we have a few non-player drivers underneath me.
First of all, one of the things I really enjoy about you, Richard, is how politically correct you are by the way you just explained that instead of saying basically Pete choked.
Yeah, Pete did choke. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting for.
Right now. What Pete will tell you is that we didn't help him in the championship race. Why would we help him in the championship race?
Exactly. Exactly. You're out to win. Now another thing here, guys, is if you take a look where my mouse is this is going to be available that you can bring it overseas. All right. And this is projected prices for 2022 as of right now. You can get it in Australia. You can get it in New Zealand. You can get it in China, which Australia is usually hard to try to get something to, believe it or not. But you're going to have the availability to get this. And it's not just restricted to here in the United States, which is a good thing. Because one of the biggest complaints I hear all the time is how people can't get a hold of games that they want to get from here. And if you back this, you're going to be able to get this anywhere you want. I mean, this looks tremendous. And anybody that just came in, don't forget that you're going to be able to check this out tonight. Do you know what time they're doing it?
7 p.m. We go live at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're going to be playing the game live for you. Richard will be there. Will Pete be there?
I don't think Pete will be there. He'll be watching, I think. There will be a cup on the line. The first Tanton House 500 cup will be up for grabs. So, Melissa's already trying to write her name on it, but not yet. Not so fast.
Definitely from that comment. It was just like, well, when I leave people in the dust, I have to be very strategic how I think these things out, so forth and so on. Trust me, don't miss out on this game. Pete says, one of my favorite racing games, and it probably only be sold on Kickstarter and conventions until supplies last.
Right.
Listen,
that's forget. We're not going to distribute this game. Mm-hmm. We set a price of $49 on Kickstarter. I mean, that's
there it is.
We're virtually giving it away for the most part. But
look, we're already moving the needle.
But yeah, and I appreciate it. The thing is, we are making this game because of my love for NASCAR. I called up a couple of my friends, Taryn with Zeroic and Sean with Mr. B, and I told them, look, guys, I really love this game. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who like racing who's going to love this game, but there's going to be a lot of people just like fun, competitive, competitive games. You can run a race in 30 minutes with this. Okay, if you're running a short race, it's 30 minutes. If you're running a super speedway, it'll go somewhere around 50 minutes to an hour. But you can run 2 sessions and track both scores. It's just a tremendous amount of fun, and that's why I just wanted to put it out, because I had my copy, but I wanted to do something that because I tell you, I can't tell how many people I run into and they tell me, man, I like Thunder Alley, but I really like the fact that you brought Crew Chief to it because we get more control. And those are the people
That's
that will like
that's
this
another
game
thing
also.
you do. You got under your belt. Look at you. I mean, you're like the who's who. Holy cow. When you talk about board gaming, I mean, I have almost everything you have. The only thing I don't have is run,
Fight or Die.
Run, Fight or Die.
No, I get you a copy of that.
Well, okay. I'm not going to argue.
You'll like it. First player shooter. You'll enjoy it.
Oh, listen, I can't. There isn't a game that you make that I don't like.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And I'm not just saying that because we're friends, because we've been friends outside this, and we've talked many an hour, and we've made fun of Pete quite a bit, and it was
He's a
quite
good guy. Pete's a good guy.
I mean, it's how we bonded basically, and well, we got another person that just added to the Kickstarter there. Come on, folks, come on, let's break 20,000 here. Let's go. Come on, you're doing it. Let's get there.
Oh, really, by the way, I know you watched Talladega Nights movie at some point, right?
Yeah.
Just last night, I think we put on the Shake and Bake special. You want 2 copies of this game? You get 2 copies of this game, $5 off from the what 2 copies would cost. So we call that the Ricky Bobby Shake and Bake special. So grab a friend and do a little shake and bake here.
Yeah, what a hysterical movie! Oh my God,
I love that movie. That is such a funny movie.
My daughter still runs around the house going, "I'll be all over you like a spider monkey, Daddy."
Exactly.
All right, Mimi. But one of the things I wanted to ask is, one of the timeless classics that you've made is Defenders of the Crown.
The Realm. You mean The Realm?
The Realm. Excuse me.
Right.
I think of the video game every time I say that. But Defenders of the Realm is like an all-time classic. Is there any chance of that getting updated or being reprinted?
The answer is yes.
The
contract with Eagle Games is coming to an end. They basically have it the rest of this year. There have been multiple companies talk to me about that game, and I tell you what I really want to do with that game is take it to the next level. Now, of course, I don't know if you've seen much of Freedom 5 with Arcane Wonders, but
I was going to mention that. That's in the
Defenders line, and I'd like to do in Defenders world, the classic fantasy world, what we did with Freedom 5 in the superhero world. So I'd really like to expand the characters more, make them more unique. I really, really want to bring more story and adventure to the game. So that's what I'm. So yes, it's going to happen, and I am talking to people now, and really, it's going to come down to who's got the same vision that I've got for the game. Okay, because I want the game to be a certain thing. I'm not looking for a legacy game. I'm looking for a game that gives players a story like Arkham Horror 2nd Edition did every time they play it.
And that Freedom 5, if you want to play a superhero game, folks, oh boy.
That's a fun one.
Oh boy. I did a video for you guys, for Robert. And we did it here, and I was just blown away. That is probably the ultimate superhero game.
I probably spent more time on that particular game than any other game that I've designed.
Really?
Yeah. There's so much story in that game. And when you start getting into story, And you know what a stickler I am about making sure it's thematic and making sure that everything. And then I've got the, I've got to get my arms around the whole Sentinels universe that Christopher and those guys created, and make sure that I stay true to that, because there's a ton of fans, and you got to be true. I mean, those characters for the people who play that game are just like, Superman or Batman. You got to be true to it. So yeah. Absolutely.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. And each one had like their own, really unique story, and they played a certain way. The replayability of that game is like ridiculous.
And we now have something like, I forget, 13, 14, 15 comic book story arc. I mean, and so when I say I've spent a lot of time on it, spent a lot of time working on that story arc and the things that we get. And to be honest with you, we don't even really get into all the stuff I wanted to get into in that game. My because I made Night Mist for the card game, and Gloomweaver, and I want to get them in, but they didn't fit the storyline right now, so I got to get them in later. But I actually have already created those characters, and I got to tell you, I really like them.
How far away until that comes out? I mean, it's still in production.
It's supposed to be out this winter, I think.
Okay.
I don't have the timeline, but yeah, I mean, I just turned around. You realize this year is over halfway done? I mean, I don't know where it went. I got to tell you.
I tell you, Richard, this has been the worst year of my life. But I mean, I popped my bicep. I got sick for a while, and almost lost that battle. And I'm just getting back on my feet. And we haven't talked much. I've talked with Pete, of course.
Right.
Because Pete usually relays everything to you, and
he does. I keep in contact with you through Pete. I'm always hopeful that you're gonna get to where you can come up here at some point.
Yeah, we're getting there. It's been a tough 9 months, but I'm finally back on my feet. And if everything kind of slows down for a bit, I tell you, I just like to come up for a weekend and just.
We'll hang out. We'll play games. We'll sit and talk. We'll do what we always do.
Yeah, it's like going to Willy Wonkers. Oh, look at this. We got another person that said backed. Look at this. Hold on. This mouse. Yeah. Back. Thanks, Rob, for doing the interview. No, you're very welcome. Don't thank me. This guy writes his own story. Okay. He sells the game himself. And I'll tell you, if you brought, and Pete made a really good point. If you brought this and you were showing this at conventions, this is easily $50,000 funded.
Oh, look, that's what I've said. The biggest crime for this particular game is I can't have it at any conventions and show it, because I can tell you what, you could be walking by, I could put the 8 dice in your hand, tell you to roll them, tell you to put on an action and move a car, and you're going to want to sit down and race. I mean, That's just the effect it has on people. I can't tell you, when we run it at the game store, people are just shopping, come in and watch, because there's so much table talk and so much player interaction. Hey, look, I'll push you the next round if you'll push me. I mean, so you're coordinating with them. And of course, you make that deal with Pete, and then he doesn't push you afterwards. So, he's like, well, I would have, but I didn't roll the right thing. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's typical. That's typical. Well, look at this coming. Come on up, Rob. I will beat you in racing like I do Richard.
You see what I mean? That's what I'm talking about.
Do you see the junk that gets talked? Do you see the junk that gets talked?
Yeah, I tell you,
I mean, we got people that are watching this, Pete. If this is the kind of attitude that you're going to have, well, we just might have to tape that when I go up there.
Yeah, he's bragging now because he won last week's race, and he's up in but he's still chasing some leaders. We got the store owner now. She won 2 races this season, so she's running away with it right now.
You see, the thing he doesn't understand is that I live by one model: win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. And I will put you in the wall, my man. Even if it means taking me out.
You heard what Dale Earnhardt said one time when they accused him. They said, you couldn't finish like that if you weren't cheating. And his answer was, it ain't cheating if you don't get caught. And that's all he said and walked away. That was in an interview, okay?
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You have to remember, this sport grew up out of the people running moonshine, so they know a little bit about. I'll tell you another funny thing that happened to me in NASCAR. I went when the Brickyard 400 started up in Indianapolis, and they made and all of the big corporations are getting behind NASCAR. I went to the race, and I don't know if you know, but Junior Johnson was one of the stars of NASCAR growing up, and he was an ex-moonshine runner. Okay, actually served a few years in prison for moonshine running, and they were talking to him about how fast the cars were now, and Junior Johnson says to him, I got to tell you, these cars are fast, but they couldn't even catch up with the car I had when I was running Shine. And the NASCAR people were trying to get the microphone away from him. They were like, don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, it was a funny thing because wasn't there a lot of, they started a lot of the racing on Daytona Beach originally.
Yep. And most of those guys were moonshine runners.
They were all moonshine runners, and they would go to Daytona Beach and they would race
on the sand. And when the Hall of Fame came up, when they wanted to put the Hall of Fame, they were thinking of either putting it in Daytona, which I was hoping that they would do. Yep. And then I believe Charlotte ended up snatching it
away, which in a way I kind of felt, but this is where it started.
Yeah, I think they should have put it down in Daytona. Charlotte got it because most of the racing teams are housed out of Charlotte now,
and that's why they did it, and that made sense. In the long run, it makes sense. But you kind of took and basically said to your history, whatever, Daytona.
You looked at some of those races they ran, those early Daytonas, and they had like 140 cars qualify. Okay, they would take off, and like 100 of them would be crashed after like 2 laps. Okay, they'd be out. So,
I go blank here for a second. What's Pete saying now? Boy, Pete, it's typing like a. Yeah, you will have enough stickers to stick on all the cards. He's talking about all the stuff that you're gonna get with this. The thing I wanted to say originally was you don't have to be a NASCAR fan.
Absolutely not.
To love this game. Okay. This isn't about NASCAR as much as it is racing, because if you look here, and I want to, and as soon as I move Pete's comment here, there are different tracks. Okay. It's just not you're going in a circle. Okay.
Right.
You got dirt tracks. You're going to have this track to the right here. If you can see my mouse moving over it, which is a road, basically kind of like a road course, right?
Right. And along with that, we have 15 race cards that will have 2 special rules that can apply to the track you're running on. So even if you're running the same track, it can feel very different depending on the race card that you got in play.
Exactly. And painting your cars, you don't have to stick to anything. I saw Dale saying something about the Batmobile. You can make the Batmobile for all that matters.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
You can have
By the way, you can the track size actually. The spaces are perfect for the 1/64 scale, which is like the Matchbox scale. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can buy cars if you want to. But I just have to tell you, these extra wide, heavy cars they're just great. When you pick one up and you're moving it on the track, it just feels really cool. But it's easy to do. I'll give you an example. Let's just say you've programmed a speed card, not a speed card, but a Thunder card. It's going to give you 4 movement. And a crossover. You can do the crossover at the start or into your turn. And a crossover is you change places with a car that's in front of you, essentially. So, it's simply counting 4 spaces, moving your car 4 spaces, and you either cross over at the beginning or cross over at the end. And if there wasn't a car to cross over with, you don't get to take that maneuver. It's not this game is not geared for, even though I'm a diehard NASCAR fan and we're talking diehard NASCAR stuff, it is not geared for a diehard NASCAR fan. Anybody can sit down and play this game, and you can figure out the strategies, like I say, in about 10 minutes.
It's just plain old racing. And if you like race games, I mean, what more could you want? This board is almost 3 feet wide.
Right.
It's 34.5 inches.
Fits great on Berkey's Watson table. You put it on that table. Everybody's got room around it, and it looks great there.
Oh, Pete made a good point right there. Look at that. Or you could use your Wacky Racer cars from your Wacky Racer set.
Yeah, send that to me. I'm going to make him use that the Dastardly guy when we race.
I make him use Penelope.
Penelope.
It looked good on him. I mean, absolutely. I mean, just dead on. I mean, dead on. I mean, look at this. Look at this thing moving. Yeah, we got a few more people. Good. All right.
Let's get number 300 here. We need one more. We get 300. So.
Come on. Who's going to be 300? And if you are the 300 person, we're going to highlight it here on the channel. And a matter of fact, if you're the 300 person, okay, and we'll find out who the 300 person is. I'm going to send you something. All right, from Rob's Tabletop World. All right, let's see if we can get 300 right now. Make sure you put it in the comment. But we'll see if the dial moves. All right, just be honest. You can email me at novaprime860@hotmail.com. All right, and you can send me your address. We'll send you something good from the vault of the tabletop world.
Absolutely, and I can send you down some stuff if you need it there. So
look at you.
I have a closet full. Hold on. I gotta show.
All right, come on, take us for a walk here.
Take you for a little ride here.
Hold on, let me.
So like behind me is my closet of my games they send me when publish games, they send me a bunch of games. So if you need something off this shelf, you just let me know, okay?
All right, let's see what we got here. Holy cow. I mean, look at this.
I've even got Alien Uprising still up there. I got Ace Detective.
Another fantastic game of yours that I absolutely love. Alien Uprising.
Oh, yeah. And so I've got a bunch of stuff. Hold on, I'll take you on a tour back here. You're my main design room here, so you can see the guy got all kinds of superhero stuff and all.
Captain America stuff. Oh, you're a big Captain America guy.
I'm a big Captain America fan. Now, this room's not finished, but in this room I've got 2 playtest tables. You can see. And I'm gonna say, I tell you what I'm gonna do. Don't get dizzy, people. I'm gonna grab the board here and put it on the table to give you guys an idea. I apologize for any dizziness that I might create.
Wow, look at this.
But yeah, so this is my play test area where we can essentially run 2 games at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And
whoa!
Dropped you.
That's it, folks. Take it easy. It was great seeing everybody. Have a good.
trying to get the camera where it'll pick it up, but you can see the board is huge when it's on that table.
Whoa!
So takes a lot of.
Look at the size of that. You can't even get it all the way in the camera.
Can't right? I can't get my camera angle right, but this is on a Berkey Watson tabletop. So
right.
And then, of course, up here, I've got more of the games at the very top up there. Get my hand out of the way.
How many Eldritch Horrors do you have?
I still got a ton of different Eldritch Horrors up there.
Oh, we're starting to lose you here.
New Marvel X-Men up there. Batman.
Which that Marvel X-Men was real good.
Is the Disney tour. I thought it, obviously if you only play the opening introduction, it's real easy. But if you play anything outside the introduction, that is a difficult cooperative game, and it's a fun cooperative game.
That game really knocks you around a bit. I mean, I played it and I loved it. As a matter of fact, I was telling Pete, I go, Pete, this is fantastic. Oh yeah, like he designed it. Which is just.
I'll tell you what, that game there, it does a great job of reflecting the X-Men and teamwork. And in a lot of ways, it's better than Elder Sign because you have to work together. Okay, in Elder Sign, you're off by yourself. You're working together, but you're by yourself everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you decide who's going with me. Who's going to be with me. You're creating bonds, or breaking bonds with people. And then one of my favorite things is just how you create that big panoramic final showdown from that comic book picture at the end. It's just that
is just so good, and it comes together, and you're so immersed in it. And that's the one thing. And listen, I'm not trying to blow smoke anywhere, but Your games are some of the most immersive games that when you start playing those games, that's why when you tell me that you're eventually going to do another Defender of the Realm,
Yep.
Defender of the Realm, and you want to make it more immersive, I mean, that game was already. I mean, that set the benchmark.
Right.
All right?
But you know, the way you have the hero cards in the Freedom 5, I really would like to take that particular piece over into Defenders, where you got your own deck of abilities. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I've got 3 generic abilities that are special. I mean, they're special to you, but let's really give. Okay, if you're the elf, let's really give you history. Let's really give you to where you come from a part of this land, and you want to protect that part no matter what.
Right.
You know, and that's important to you to protect that homeland. So I think that's really great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely so. And you know, the thing that I really, you know, that game set the benchmark for a lot of things. I mean, you don't realize, you should break your arm patting yourself on the back a little bit, or I'll come over and I'll pat you on the back for a little bit, because that game really, for me, the way that whole worked, that really people started copying that like there was no tomorrow.
Well, thank you.
And you know,
a lot of people always said, well, you know, that's just a fantasy pandemic. And I told them, you know, we share this the way the minions scatter.
Yeah,
that's about the only thing it shares.
That was the only thing it did.
You know.
That was the only thing you did. And then when you came out with the apocalyptic version, which I still love.
But I do too. I would, once again, that's one I'd like to go back to. You know, Jason kind of shut down 8th Summit, so
yeah,
I don't even know. He still may have copies left of it, but that was always a fun one also. And once again, that's one that I wouldn't mind revisiting again in the future. So
well, that would be something, because I really enjoyed that. Do you remember that time? What did I paint for those within?
You painted
48 hours.
You painted a ton of them.
It was like 48 hours.
You had to wear yourself out on that. I remember that. Yes.
And yeah,
you did it like in like a 2-week period or something.
No, it wasn't. No, I didn't get the game. If you remember, I didn't get the game till
it was a ridiculous timeline. It was really fast.
The convention started on Wednesday. I got it on a Saturday. I got the 4 copies.
That's right.
Okay.
And you like wore yourself out.
Yeah, I read all the way up until the evening before the convention. I got all 4 of those copies. Now you got to remember, what was there, like 80 something in each box? I did 5. Yeah. It was 580 something figures in 2.5 days.
No matter who's painting them, it's hard. I mean, just the motorcycles. I mean, all the motorcycles, and you know, I know you remember.
And I'm sitting there at my kitchen table, and I'm talking to my wife. She goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Don't worry about it. Just I sit here," and I'm trying to hold court with the family, because the kids were younger then. And this one's starting with this one, that one's, and I'm trying to hold court when I'm just, all right, you go to your room. Okay, you go outside.
Exactly. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I painted my set, and I can tell you that's a big job painting Defenders of Last Stand.
Yeah.
You know, you do the motorcycles. You got to glue the guy on the motorcycle.
Oh yeah, which I did.
It's like, okay, how many of these are there?
Oh, and those didn't stop, and then you had to do each faction. The monsters, I had a lot of fun doing, because you know, they were just,
well, they're like one off. So you know, you do that, and you're like, that's cool. They're big too. Those guys were big.
Yeah, they were big. So got all those done, and I'll never forget getting to that one faction. I painted them brown. I forgot, and it was like I think it was the biker gang itself.
Yeah, the biker gang is the hardest ones to do.
And then I got all 4 boxes. I mean, all 4 sets all lined up, so I make sure I don't mix them up. And I'm just looking. I'm going, oh hell no! Oh hell no!
I trust me. I understand. I totally get it.
Oh, but hey, it made money at the Tom's auction.
It did. We sold a ton of them then, and that's always been a very popular game with people that played it. It's just
people don't realize how good that is.
Yeah, the whole series is good, and when I look at them now and say, okay, I'm going to do a second edition of this or that. The thing is, I don't want to give you the same game that just looks with new stuff. I want to give you a game that takes you further into that experience, and that's kind of what I'm going to focus on.
The funny thing about that is, Defender of the Realm, and it kind of has the same mechanics as Defender of the Realm. Not a problem.
Right.
Because basically,
it's part of the Defender's line.
It's part of the Defender's line. But you could tell that's where you wanted to take the story even deeper.
Right.
Because when you started playing some of those cards and you went, whoa, what's this all about now? And they were nasty. You wanted that game to be nasty. And that game was filthy.
Yeah. I actually think that one's much harder to win than Defenders of the Realm.
I agree. And it was not easy.
You almost have to complete some of the story aspects to it, where you go on those little adventures, because the payoff of those little adventures are really strong. And you almost have to do some of those in order to win.
Mm-hmm. Well, the best part about it was that it was hard to win, because if I opened up that box set, like I did with the kids, and we won the first time, you just go, okay, well, we beat it.
Right.
I mean, I really love the fact that it took us a long time to beat that game, and even though we barely won that one time, it even drew us back because there was just so much more. We got lucky that one time. And I mean, when you have a game,
the hardest one of all the games ever made was Alien Uprising, I think. Now it probably wasn't in its original version, but it got tightened down so much to where if you didn't make really key decisions the whole way through, you just couldn't win it. That's one, once again, that's on my list that I want to do a second edition of sometime. And I want to make it to where every player is more heroic, because everybody likes to be Diesel, the guy with the automatic weapon. Okay. So I'm like, okay, if everybody wants to be Diesel, I need to do something where people get to be more Diesel-like. Okay. I'm the mechanic. I don't want to bring up the shields all the time. I want to shoot stuff. Well, you got to bring the shields up,
And it's such a good game, which is another one I painted off air.
Yes, there you go.
Because I actually paint off air sometimes.
I would too if I was you. That's where I do all my painting. I tell you what, there are so many games with miniatures now. I can't catch up anymore. I got stacks of them, and I enjoy painting miniatures, but there's so many games with miniatures. It's very difficult to keep up.
I'm actually happy when I get a game that I could play that has standees or something like that. It's not that I don't love painting miniatures and stuff like that. I do. But sometimes it's just nice to open up the box and go, okay, let's see what this does.
Right. I haven't thought of that with this racing game. I asked the other guys that are publishing it. I said, should we put tokens of the cars in there? Colored tokens? Is there anybody who would want to punch out tokens? And they're both reacting the same as yours. Nah, these are cars. Put the stickers on them and play. But I do like having punch out. I like to get both, in a game that's got a bunch of miniatures. Give me the miniatures, and then give me the standees. I can play the standees till I get the miniatures painted.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly. And as you can see, we're at 301. So whoever made
somebody came in. Somebody came in. Thank you, whoever it is. Thank you very much.
Well, because it's 300 and 301. It's going to be hard to decide which one came in first. They're both going to say they came in first, but that's okay. I'll take care of both of you. NovaPrime860@hotmail.com. Just email me and I'll talk with you, and then we'll get something out to you guys.
Rob, if they want anything from the Arkham line or something, I'll sign something and send it out to them. You just let me know who it is.
Look at this. I mean, what a groundbreaking day here on the tabletop world. First of all, we learned about 3 games that are going to be that the master wants to redo, okay, because they're not perfect enough the way they are. We've also learned a whole hell of a lot about this Thunder Roll, okay, which support, get behind it, because you're not going to be able to get this. This is not going to come to retail. The only place you're going to get it is if you jump on this here at the Kickstarter, as you can see the Kickstarter page right here. And also maybe the master will have some at conventions that he'll sell to you.
Yeah, we're gonna look. We do not have enough. I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'm backing this game to make sure it gets put up. Okay, I've never participated in the publishing aspect before, but that's how much I believe in this game. To me, this game's like ice cream. It just is a highly playable game. If you don't like it, you don't like ice cream, because it's just really, really good. And I'm going to print. I'm going to print a few more than we sell. We'll probably round that off, but there's not going to be a lot of copies. So I'm really hopeful that people will back it, that we can get the numbers up, and that a lot of people can get this, because I think when people start seeing this game show up at convention stuff, they're going to say, hey, that looks like a lot of fun. And at that point, there's not going to be any copies of it.
Right. And you're putting some of your own money behind this too, because if you think just making that goal, that goal was just to get a little help here, folks. I'm telling you,
all that artwork you've seen, I funded that all up front. I'm a believer in this project. I'm a believer in this game. I want this, and I wanted this game to be printed, and so I've got behind it with two other people who believe in it. Taryn's done great graphics work, support work, and driving the whole heroic support of it from a publisher perspective. And of course, Sean, he knows everything about dealing with China and getting the best deals on, printing and miniatures and all that kind of stuff. So we got all that kind of stuff going for us. So it's a good team, but it's we really, to bring this game, because it's got so much in it, we really need to ultimately get to, 35,000 to get to a point where we're making money on it. But that, I'm happy to bring it out, but I'd like as many people that want it to buy it, because I just don't think there's going to be a lot of copies afterwards. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Listen, support this. Okay. Not only that, but if you're unsure about it, okay, and you think it's too much NASCAR, hold on here, folks. Hold on. It's not. It's a racing game. Go to the Tantum House tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and watch this incredible race that they are going to have. Is it just going to be a one-off?
It's going to be a two-stage race on a super speedway. So there's going to be lots of drafting, lots of side drafting, lots of Melissa doing what Melissa does, especially if she gets out in front. So I just go ahead and warn that she is the track favorite on this one, probably. So I
mean, does she talk garbage? I hope not.
She does not. She keeps her mouth shut. She just does it. Okay?
Oh, it's just afterwards when she's putting things up on the Kickstarter thing that she, when I'm leaving people behind.
I give Melissa credit. She does her talking on the track. Okay, you want to beat me? Come on, get behind the wheel. Let's go.
Oh, and they are competing tonight, folks. Show them the trophy one more time, Richard.
Okay, let me grab this trophy over here.
Okay, they are competing for the Tantrum 500. Okay, it is on like Donkey Kong. You're going to want to check this out. Make sure you, if anything, just stop by, see what about the game. If you're unsure and you want to make a decision, hey, trust me, make your decision tonight. But make sure that you back this. Let's try to get this up to 2025, hopefully 30,000. It's got 8 days left. I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed on this. This is made by the living legend himself, Richard Launius. You can never go wrong with any of his games. And he's got more. Listen, this guy isn't going to stop. When he leaves this earth, he will still be making games and sending ideas down. Okay. All right. I don't know how he'll get the message here. I'll have to get the Ouija board out, but he will keep on going until he doesn't stop. And I'm telling you,
I do appreciate that. You're far too kind. But I will say this. Somebody asked me this on an interview not long ago about, would I stop? Look, I design games. It's what I do. Whether I publish them or not has become totally unimportant to me. I will continue to design games until I just can't do it anymore. So,
and that's a beautiful thing. And Hallenbeck, yes, there will be Defenders of the Last Realm, 2nd edition. We talked about it earlier. If you get a chance, watch this back, and you'll learn a lot of things. We learned a lot of things, and we got to see his basement, and we got to see his basement ceiling on top of that.
I like showing you that. That's that was a real plus there. And as you can see, I really treat people nice by bringing them back into this playtest area back here. So
it's a first. It's a first. All right. So I want to thank Richard for taking the time, coming on here, showing us this fantastic game. And I'm going to show it one more time before we leave. Support it. As you can see, the needle's moving, but we need to get it moving a lot more. Go check out the Tantrum House tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're going to be live. Richard's going to be there, and it's racing. And you're going to love every minute.
I promise you it'll be entertaining.
Now, let me tell you something. All of you should be booing Melissa the minute she walks in the room, okay? Because she is the clear favorite. You got to put a little heat on her and make it a little tough. Richard, thank you so much. Hang on here once I go off live.
I will.
I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's good seeing you. We haven't seen each other in a while, unfortunately, just because it's just
the way things are.
Just the way things are. But you know, when it like every other time when we get together, we don't stop talking. We could talk all afternoon.
Exactly.
Pete, I want to thank Pete also for helping us out here, and of course Kabuki for monitoring things as she always does. You know how much I love her. So until next time, for the great, wonderful, the human highlight reel himself, Richard Launius, and your old pal Rob. Until next time, we shall see you soon. Take it easy, everybody. Support this game.
Thank you.